Before we begin, I'll tell you some general information about histology. There are 4 basic types of tissue: epithelial, connective, nervous, and muscle.
Epithelial is in 3 basic shapes: squamous, cuboidal, and columnar.
3 types of tissues look a little bit different. Squamous has a more rectangular look, cuboidal is more of a square, and columnar is more of a column. Squamous can also look like little bubbles on the slide.
There are 3 classifications for epithelial tissue. Simple means that there is just one layer of cells attached to the basement membrane.
Stratified has more than one layer attached to the basement membrane. It gives it a stacked appearance. The last type is kind of tricky. Pseudostratified, although it is only a simple layer of columnar tissue, it looks as if there is more than one layer. To identify this tissue, look for triangles with dark nuclei.
Transitional epithelium is an exception to the 3 basic shapes of epithelial. It appears cuboidal close to the lumen, and as you move away, it turns into a more squamous look.
Squamous tissue can be found in the lines of blood, lymph vessels, and various body cavities, and it functions to absorb and excrete. Cuboidal can be found in kidneys and glands, and it works to also secrete and absorb. Columnar can be found lining the uterus and the digestive tract, and it works to secrete and absorb.
The 5 types of connective tissue are loose, dense, bone, blood, and cartilage.
Loose connective tissue includes areolar, adipose, and reticular.
There are 3 types of fibers found in connective tissue.
Reticular fibers are thin, dark, and have a curly appearance to them. They supply support and strength for the cell. Collagen fibers mostly appear in the background, and they are thick and a medium tone. They function as strong, flexible, and numerous fibers.
Elastic fibers are much thinner and very dark. They supply the strength and the stretch.
Vitamin C is used for the growth and repair of tissues in all parts of the body. It helps make collagen and is important in maintaining the skin, cartilage, tendons, ligaments, and blood vessels. Vitamin C is also used for healing wounds and maintaining bones and teeth.
Dense connective tissue includes regular, irregular, and elastic.
Regular dense tissue is very uniform. Irregular dense tissue is very not uniform with crazy fibers, and elastic is dark and wavy. Drip, drip, drip. Blood is easily recognizable on a slide. It has bubbles of red that are very spread out with some dark purple bubbles intertwined that are white blood cells. Sickle cell anemia is a disease of the blood. The symptoms can be found through infections, pain, and fatigue. In the slides, the red blood cells look like crescents and are unable to absorb oxygen sufficiently. Many of the cells have a darker appearance than normal red blood cells.
Bone!
If you were to cut a bone in half, this is what you would see. There would be compact bone, which is made up of osteons that look like little circles, and cancellous bone, which looks like a sponge. Histology can be used to identify a variety of diseases, one being osteoporosis. During osteoporosis, the trabeculae of the bones breaks down and bones become brittle. This leaves bigger holes in the circles of the cancellous bone and compact bone in the slides. Cartilage! Cartilage has 3 different types: hyaline, elastic, and fibrocartilage. Hyaline, the bubbles are very spread out and very dark. In elastic, the bubbles are very close together. And in fibrocartilage, there are barely any bubbles at all.
blasts,
Sites.
clasts.
In this segment, we will talk about the three cells that make, maintain, and destroy fibers, cartilage, and bone, using the suffixes of blasts, sites, and clasts.
Fibroblasts, osteoblasts, and chondroblasts are the makers, or the creators.
Fibrocytes, osteocytes, and chondrocytes are the maintainers, meaning they maintain basic physiological processes.
Fibroclasts, osteoclasts, and chondroclasts break down tissues to allow for new fibroblasts, osteoblasts, and chondroblasts to create new tissue. Muscle tissue, which makes up all your muscles, including the heart. This includes three basic types: smooth, cardiac, and skeletal. Smooth muscle tissue can be found in places like your esophagus. Smooth muscle is very different from the other two muscle types. It is uninucleated, which means it has one nucleus for each fiber, and it spindles off at the end, so the middle is fat and the ends are skinny. Cardiac muscle is displayed here.
Cardiac muscle also has striations, but the striations are much lighter than the striations that are in skeletal muscle. Another way to tell that it is cardiac muscle is that the muscle cells are not as long as skeletal muscle. The key way to identify that it is cardiac muscle, though, is the intercalated discs that appear in between the muscle fibers.
Skeletal muscle can be found in all muscles except for the heart. Skeletal muscle can be identified by its striations. Hint, they run perpendicular to the fibers, and its multinucleated appearance, which are the dark circles inside the fibers. In addition, the skeletal muscle fibers are very, very long. Nervous tissue is made up of neurons. The neurons look like a sunny-side-up egg. The yolk represents the nucleus, and the white part surrounding the yolk would be the body. The dendrites and the axons are the things that spindle off from the white part. The neuroglia are helper cells that surround the whole neuron.